welcome to the replay. If you're here for the first time, thanks for coming in. Welcome. Just a little motion there. Oops. Stay. I always get this fiddly thing of turning the tripod around so it stands stably on the cushion. All right. Hi, thanks for coming in. Welcome. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. Sorry, just tempting to get this tripod so it stays there, so I'm not like down the bottom of the screen or something like that. All right, thanks for coming in. Thanks for joining me. Welcome. And I'm waiting to see more folks joining in this scope. This is primarily directed towards the single women. However, you may know someone like this, so you can share it with them. So I invite you coming in. I thank you for coming in, and thanks for joining me. It's going to be an end-of-year push, and also a reminder for some of my female friends out there who have forgotten about something they need to remember. And this is probably the best time of the year to hear about it. So stay tuned. And before I get there, I'm going to do a couple of housekeeping things. First of all, to let you know who I am, and second, to invite you to spread the word. So first of all, let's do the second one first. If you're here for the first time, thank you for joining me. I appreciate it, and I look forward to hopefully having you follow me around for a while if I give you good stuff. If you'd be so kind as to share my scope with your friends on Twitter and also your followers on Periscope, and also I definitely would appreciate if you would make sure you're following me, because I do scopes every day about love and relationships, which is my thing. Which leads me to point number one. Why are you watching me? My name is Barry Selby, in case you hadn't already got that from my handle in Periscope. I am, so let's bring out the props. I am a relationship expert, teacher, guide, speaker, and what's the word I'm looking for? A passionate champion of the feminine. I am a number one best-selling author. This is my book, 50 Ways to Love Your Lover, which is for, well, thank you for that, Casey. I'm number one best-selling author of 50 Ways to Love Your Lover, which you can find all out about on my website. Sorry, I've got props and sheets everywhere. barryselby.com/book. There's the ebook there, the physical book, and the link for the Kindle if you want which one of those three you want. And if you get the physical book, it takes a couple of weeks. If you want the ebook, it takes a few minutes. So if you want to get started right away, go there, buy the ebook, and get started right away. It is 50 principles for healthy relationships, and it's for singles, couples, men, and women, because I do want the book to be welcomed by lots of people. But today's scope is particularly for the single ladies. So if you are one of those ladies, or you know someone in this category, pay attention, please. It's become somewhat clear to me. Well, how do I say this? It's been depressing me, to be honest. I have... Casey, you putting your hand up to ask something, or just give me a high five? I can't tell. Or the single... Exactly. That came up in a message just now with one of my friends on Perry 10K. And I mentioned that later on too. I've seen a lot of posts. I see. Well, then hopefully this will land for you and you'll get some value from this, and also maybe some next steps. I've seen a lot recently of posts on Facebook, because I do have a lot of community there, as well as laments in conversations. And it really is, frankly, it's disturbing to me and depressing, because what I've seen happen more times than I care to list, women choosing less than they deserve. And it's frustrating to me, because the thing is, I know they deserve better. Now, in my own history, I chose relationships where they chose less than they deserved at the time, because I wasn't stepping up to my full potential. So I know on the other side how it's not healthy either. And I paid the price, and so did my partners. So that's one reason I'm driven the way I am to speak about this and to educate and inform my audience, because I don't want you dealing with this, and I don't want to deal with it anymore. And I hopefully have healed the patterns myself from my own history, so I won't choose that in my partnerships. But I want to make sure the women out there, particularly, because they're my favorite audience and the most responsive audience, I want to make sure that you do take this to heart. And as I said in the scope, well, Casey, I'm going to give you some things hopefully will help you learn the lesson more gently, more easily, more successfully. So, as I mentioned in the title, don't settle for less than you deserve, and listen to your heart. And I want to speak to that in a couple of different ways. It's interesting, because yesterday, as part of my share-a-thon with the Perry 10K group, we did a conversation about the mind versus the heart, or the head versus the heart, and I had some points to make about that. And so I'm going to make some of that here in relationship to relationship. Okay, yeah, in relationship to relationship. Because what happens in our well, this happens everywhere, but I'm talking about the dating arena and the romance relationship focus. So please stay with me on this one. And if you'd be willing to just look back at your own history, you don't have to comment, but just look back at your own history as I'm explaining this, you might go, got it, I understand, or oh crap, or whatever that is for you that gives you the chance to change. Because if you do get that, I have some keys for you to get out of it in the future. Okay, that's enough mystery. Let me get to the heart of this. I'm trying to think of why I'm saying it differently than I've said it before, because I want to make sure it lands for you. Let's just say that you're making your dating choices from a different place than you think you are. What? What I mean is that you have this vision, and okay, let me put a spin on it first. I'm sort of jump in, but I want to give you some more framework. For many women out there, maybe not you. Well, I'll get there. For many women out there, I have seen, well, the marketing material for women. Well, yes, very much so. That's actually, it's funny. I just posted an article this morning I saw online about women in the 40s being hot and sexy, which I totally agree with personally. But there's a guy who discovered that, who was 41. And anyway, that article's on my Facebook page. You can read about that. But anyway, back to this topic. The dating scene online, which blew up in the last 15 years, and particularly the last couple of years with the online smartphone apps, has created a very big playing field for dating. There's a problem with it, though, and it's not the problem you're thinking of, because you might have a few thoughts about it too. But the online dating apps and websites tend to be designed for the male focus. You may have guessed this already, because they are catalogs. That's what they are. They're shopping catalogs online in a smartphone app like Tinder or Plenty of Fish or one of those, or Match.com or anything like that too. They're catalogs of possible dates. And that is a male-driven mindset, because we as men are hunters. That's the origin we come from. That's where we come from in our history. So we're focusing out there like checking out targets. How romantic. That's what we're doing. Well, Casey, you're probably making the right choice about that. And I'll give you some thoughts about where you can go in the future that'll be more successful for you. So stay tuned, please. And keep sharing, by the way. I appreciate sharing this on your social media circles, Facebook, Twitter, Periscope too. The challenge is women need to feel who their partner is, energetically speaking, because women have been trained by the media, by advertising, by the fashion industry, by you name it, whatever it is, to look at men the same way men look at women, in the sense they're looking at the package of how the person looks, not who they are. And it's a trap, because women will not be satisfied, I know this, with the package, the look, the presentation. What they will be satisfied with is someone they can feel, because what women need. And that's the challenge too, because women, and I'll get to that one, I'm unpacking so many pieces, it's like 7 different streams, so I'll hopefully cover all of them by the time we finish this scope. So stay tuned, so keep me on track, please, I appreciate that. There are so many women that have been educated, misinformed, educated, to go out in the world and hunt for their man too. Now, it sounds kind of sexy in a way it is. This comes out of the feminist movement from the 60s. I like that. Nicely said, sir. Instead of looking for eye candy, look for soul food. That, Matt, that's a really good way of putting it. I like that one. I'm not going to steal it, but I like what you said. Thank you. But let me put it this way. I love this conversation going on. Men look at women as targets because of the fact they look at the presentation. Now, it's not necessarily the way a woman looks at herself in the mirror. It's how she presents her energy in a visual format. Women, however, will tend to reach out. This is going back to what the origin is and what the truth is of what we are, not what we've been taught. Women actually will look for, feel for, from Finland, nice to have you here, will feel for the energy of a man. Can she trust it? Is he present? Does he hold a space that's strong enough that she can lean into and feel safe? And for some women, they've been convinced that it's how a man looks at her, which is part of it. Engaging, yes. It's how he presents and how he is himself. And the challenge is, again, because of the media and the marketing and the fashion industry, and I live in Los Angeles and near Hollywood, so I see a lot of it out here. There's a distinct trap that women have fallen into, which is the marketing packaging, the outside surface, the gift wrap, as it were. Thinking back to the holidays just passed, is all that counts, not the contents. And the reality is, it's true for both sides of the conversation, but men are generally drawn by the packaging, the gift wrap. Women are usually drawn by the content, what's inside. That's how we should be and how we ought to be in life. Thank you, Casey, for inviting followers. And it's important, yes, that we are presentable to each other to be seen, because that's the first thing that will get the attention of the partnership. However, it's beyond the initial, oh, they look cute, to they feel authentic. I like how I feel around them. Those sort of things are where the juice is. That's where the opportunity is. So I'm just making sure I'm covering all the dots, because there's about 7 things open up here, and I'll make sure I cover them all for you as I go through the scope. The challenge with this work is that society does not maintain or support this model normally. That's why so many women, as I said, well, how do you mean? Right, Casey, I'm going to ask you this question myself. What do you mean that some men hold back? Oh, the book. Oh, okay. Yes. All right. Got it. Okay. Sorry, I'm reading the comments, and how do you say that? Lou Bayod? How do you say your name? You see, that's the thing. The game is bullshit. There, I've said it. And the book called The Rules is bullshit too. The challenge is that you're trying to paint everybody with the same brush. It doesn't work. We're all unique. We're all different. And Lou, I want to speak to you about that half look of the other half. That's bullshit too, to be blunt. I'm being really blunt about this, because we've been taught to think, because of, 60, 70 years of romantic love songs about how we won't be complete without the other person. That I can't live without you, as Harry Nilsson sang many years ago. Or, if you leave, I'll die, that sort of stuff. It's bullshit. Can I be clear about that? But the thing is, we've been feeling into, soulmates, I won't say bullshit, but soulmates, that's a whole other conversation, and I might get to that one in a moment, Helena. So bear with me and come back and remind me if I miss it, because I'm going to stick to the 50-50 first. Then I'll get to the soulmates. Wow, you're bringing all the questions up, which is great. And I appreciate that. Keeps me on track. So first, 50-50. Have you looked in the mirror and noticed that there's only half of you present? I would like to say no. When you look in the mirror, you're not just like half of you here, half of you is not here. But we've been trained to think that we're only half of who we should be, because relationships are 50-50. They're not. Because when you get into a relationship, you don't just find your half and the other half and meld. It's two wholes coming together. That's 200%. Relationships aren't 50-50, they're 100-100. So that being the case, and I want to make sure you get this, because it's like frustrating. Because this is the code. Let me put it this way. If you ever read about codependence or dysfunction that way, that absolutely comes from the model that we aren't complete without somebody else. So we're looking at there for our other half to make us whole. And I'll drop in the soulmates thing in a moment, so stay tuned on that one. When we are, say this. I talk about this a lot. It's in my book too. I believe that we need to mature, and we are maturing into the age of interdependence, not codependence. There's another piece in between that I've talked about in my book, but I've covered it in scopes, but not here. The codependent model is that I can't live without you, and if you leave, I'll die. Interdependent means I am okay as I am. I'm fully whole and complete as I am, as you are as well. And together, we make more together than we can apart. So we're additive to each other. But again, we don't need each other to survive. The joy is that when you're together with somebody else, as in Gestalt, the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. So a relationship is 200% people coming together. We are circles which become double the strength when we perfectly overlap. That's an interesting way of putting it. I like that. But except we don't perfectly overlap because we're unique. And masculine and feminine, which I can talk to in a whole other conversation, are very different. Needing and wanting are two different things. Yes, need is from a place of lack. Wanting is from a place of fullness. Key. That's very true. The thing with the overlap is, and I'll talk to soulmates actually. Well, It's a Venn diagram in the sense that, yeah, I got that. Yes, diagram. You keep bringing up some great conversation. This is getting me on track, which I really appreciate. This scope's getting a lot deeper than I planned, which is totally fine with me. I'm just watching the clock too to make sure I don't run out of time. Because I've got time, but I want to make sure I don't butt up against my next periscope, which is plenty of time. Yeah, we're good. Boy, Venn diagram, perfect overlap. No, sorry. I'll speak to this in a different way. We are whole and complete as we are, as I mentioned. Thank you. And so our joy to serve, to be together in a partnership, means that we add to somebody else. So it's only a Venn diagram like this much, not this much. Because if you completely cover somebody else, that will be pointless. That's 50-50 again, because you're not fully embracing. The thing about it is when you're in a relationship, you're no longer just one person with another person. You're actually expanding, so the relationship becomes bigger than each of you. That's the two halves of the heart, in the sense of that. Or not two halves, excuse me. It's two hearts together. Additive, collaborative, expansive. Boy, there's you bring in so many pieces up, I'm not sure I cover it. Soulmates, I want to get to that one. That came up before too. Okay, I'm going to burst some people's bubble here. You don't have one soulmate. What do I mean by that? Okay, I personally, because I've been in a lot of spiritual studies and student of spirit and God for a long time, I believe that God is a consciousness that's present in all of us, like the Force in Star Wars, since that I just saw a movie the other night. God is not a punitive, bureaucratic guy on a throne in the clouds throwing down lightning bolts and a big beard. If you believe the same thing, would that God, that loving energy of God that is everywhere on the planet, be so cruel as to give you one soulmate amongst 7.5 billion people, and then go find him? Good luck. It's like, where's Waldo? Forget about it. It's worse than that. So I don't believe there's one soulmate. Now, some of my fellow speakers and teachers use that language a lot. One of the people I know in San Diego, Ariel Ford, has a whole thing about the soulmate secret. Well, her new book, thankfully, is the book I was hoping she'd write, which is turning a mate into a soulmate. That is where the truth is. Because you don't go out in the world and suddenly go, there's my soulmate, and that's the only one there is. First of all, I've personally met 3 of mine in my lifetime, where you have that connection, you know it's that person who wasn't meant to be this time. And they're not in the right form to be a partner in a relationship anyway. I believe that anybody can be our soulmate. Because, now this is going a bit spiritual woo-woo, so bear with me. We are all sourced and fed and expressed in spirit. As God, by God, from God, however you put that. And that's the teaching I believe. Now, it may not be what you believe, but I understand. But let's speak from that place. Boy, you're covering so much stuff. I'm just realizing how much I'm covering in this one scope. So it's a simple topic and it's exploded, which is great. If that is the case, then we're all the same beneath the skin. We're all spirit. So anybody can be our soulmate. Not they will be, but everybody can be our soulmate. Okay, good. I'm glad I've got that one, Lou. I want to make sure that you get to this point. We can meet somebody who is more open to being that partnership than somebody else. That's that feeling you talked about there. It's that sense of kindred spirit. There's also things about like soul family and soul friends, all these things. There are millions of potential soulmates, yes. Man, you've got some good, I like when you keep putting stuff, you put it together, it's true. I've met 3 in my life, yes. It's true. We do get caught up on that. That's why I should know about the packaging, the look, which is such a trap. Soulmates, personally, if you meet someone off the get-go and you think they're the soulmate, it's probably more chemistry. If you met somebody and it developed and you started noticing the depth sharper as time went by, that's more likely to be a soulmate energetic. But again, there isn't one soulmate for one person on the planet. Because again, there's 7.5 billion people on the planet. How are you going to find them? Do you put out an ad in the local paper on Craigslist or a Facebook post? Looking for my soulmate. If you're out there, find me. Good luck. And I don't believe God will set it up that way. Perhaps. But again, you've still got to be out in the world. I see who I'm looking for as a partner now, because I'm single right now, is different from who I was looking for 10 years ago. Mainly because of my work. The work I'm involved in, you know, being a published author, this is my book again, and having the work I do, what are my qualifications, sir, and how many relationships you've been in? You sound good. Well, thank you. Well, qualifications, I'm a #1 best-selling author. There's a qualification right there. I'm also been studying stuff for 30 years. So, and I've had more than enough relationships to learn what doesn't work, to be honest. And the truth is, and I'll say this truthfully, I know several, I'll say many. Sorry, I'm just trying to get back to my computer screen so I can show something in a minute. There we go. I have many fellow coaches out there who've been in relationships, marriages that broke up. One of the most well-known ones, in fact, John Gray, was married to Barbara DeAngelis. So she created Making Love Work. He wrote Mars and Venus, and they got divorced. One of my fellow friends, who's a dear friend of mine, an amazing relationship coach, wrote a book called Calling in the One. 5 years later, she divorced the one. So what I want to say is that we all come from relationships. We'll speak to relationships from different places. Nothing is right or wrong. Different choices. Casey, I trust that you are wiser now than you were then before your divorce. That you've evolved or grown from there. I hope you have. Because the thing I talk about in my work too, is that many people do repetitive, cyclic, serial relationships where the face changes but the patterns don't. And that's the deeper work I do with my clients, and I'll mention that right now. I mostly coach single women. One, because women listen better than men do. I know because I am one. A man, that is. That's what this is for, so you know that. Second thing is that a lot of my work is not just vision and creation, which I have programs for that as well, about how do you attract what you really want, but it's to unhook those patterns from the past so you don't keep repeating the same pattern again and again. In fact, my coaching doesn't sound as glamorous as it could be, because it's like, yeah, I'm going to find your soulmate and your partner and everything else. Like, yes, I am. However, the way we get there is through the past, which is like, what? But the thing about this, and this is the piece I'll speak to now, just so you have that, exactly, thank you. But nobody does, but they keep doing it and wonder why. Here's why. I talk about this in my work, and I was actually pleasantly surprised. Good. Then you change your direction. So let me speak to a couple of things that can help you with that. The one changes and fluctuates. Okay. I'm not sure that. Let me go on the thread that was going on now, and we'll come back to that if we need to. This is the cornerstone of my work. We are, our awareness, our consciousness is over 90% subconscious, automatic pilot. That's like the things that keep us alive, autonomous nervous system, all those things. It's like 94%, 95% of who we are. Our conscious mind makes decisions, has free will. That is the one that's talking, articulating, communicating. Is about 5% of our consciousness. That's it, 5%. Bruce Lipton, who wrote Biology of Belief, speaks about that in his work, and I got to see him a few months ago speaking live in Los Angeles. So he actually said what I had been talking about, but he gave me better numbers to work with. So I was saying 90%. He said, no, 94% subconscious. So what does that mean? What it means is, way, way back in your childhood, from when you were born up to the age of about 8, 9, or 10, that 94% of your subconscious mind is a wide open sponge, taking in everything around you into your consciousness. So because we don't have, at that point, truly conscious discernment about what life's about. So we're learning everything like a sponge. We're on the planet, and we don't come with a user manual, and nor do our parents. So we watch around us at what's happening around life around us and go, that must be the way life is, because we come into this world without an awareness of life. We see it laid out in front of us. And for the first, again, 5 to 10 years of our life, we say, oh, that's how life works. So how people believe in God or not, how people deal with money or not, how people deal with work or not, and how people deal with love and relationships or not, is programmed in at that age. No hearts on the screen. I think you're all going, whoa. Back away from the screen. So you get imprinted with beliefs about, it's not that complicated. Let me break it down so you can be clear about this. Please. If you look back at your childhood, particularly by the adults around you, parents, uncles, aunts, other people around you who raised you, especially grandparents, you can look through and see fairly clearly, if you look from a very observer viewpoint, you look around and see what happened at that age, at those younger ages, and look at your parents and those adults around you, and watch how they expressed love. Not how they told you about love, but how they expressed it and shared it, how they did things together. You'll notice, if you look closely and from an awareness of witness, you'll see the patterns that you're doing as an adult. It's almost guaranteed. Because, and so you understand how it works. Again, 0 to 10 years old or thereabouts, your subconscious mind is a sponge taking everything around you. And then your conscious mind, that little 5%, 6% of your consciousness, comes online, as it were, and becomes the gatekeeper. So after age of 8, 9, 10, there's Carolina. Nice to see you, my love. My accountability partner in the Prayer 10K group. I saw Kimberly join in as well. Good to have you here too. So once you reach that point, the conscious mind goes, okay, I've got enough information, let me now discern things. That's why high school is different from being a kid in kindergarten. We have a different perception of things. We discern things, we choose things. But, and this is the big but, as it were. Thank you for sharing that. Oh, you're still tapping. Thank you, Katya. Yeah, I'm almost at 500,000 hearts and almost 1,000 followers. So I'm hoping by the end of the week to get both of those numbers. We'll see. So I trust that. So thank you for sharing and promoting and sharing my love and work on in the world. This is the piece. We have a conscious mind being the gatekeeper, discerning how we choose things. However, that's about 5 or 6% of our awareness. 94% of who we are is running along an autopilot. So if you imagine getting in your car, into the passenger seat, and giving a 5-year-old the keys to the car, and telling it you want to go that direction, and the 5-year-old goes, I'm going over here. That's really what's happening in your consciousness. Your subconscious mind is running automatic programming that it learned at a young age, basically 0 to 10 years old. So when you go out dating, this is where it happens, when you're in a relationship, patterns will tend to show up that will be reminiscent or repeating what was happening when you were a kid. Wow, you grew up through your parents' divorces twice over and you've been always looking for stability. That's good. However, and this is the big caveat, is that the programming that they instilled in you may still be running unless you get to do some work internally. And this is the one I speak to for a moment. There was a piece I was going to say, and it'll come back to me in a second. Oh yes, it's been said often that women tend to marry their fathers, like someone who embodies their father, and men tend to embody their mothers, or marry somebody who embodies their mother. I'll try to say that more clearly next time. Women tend to be attracted to someone who reminds them of their father. Men tend to be attracted to someone who reminds them of their mother. Yes and no. Yes, that tends to happen, although it can be either gender, because the patterns we emulate are the ones we are raised with. This is good. And that's the thing that's, to be honest, somewhat unusual. So, Katya, I'm glad your partner is more different than Dad. But again, it's also patterns and behaviors. Then your ex may have been like your mother, perhaps. But I would say there's behavioral things in there that are maybe even more subconscious, below the surface, that are running automatically, even though you don't see them or aware of them. Speaking to my own experience, just so you have my own, like, on the table, as it were, my own understanding. I'm grateful that I was raised in a healthy family. At least that's the sense was. I was very angry, and that's okay. So the question also, Katya, is what was your mother like? What is your mother like in a relationship? Is she more of that one too? Because it might be in relation, which might not be a bad thing. But just checking. Let me speak to my own experience to give you something, and mine's a little bit lighthearted, as it were, because I know some of my clients and some of my friends who've been through abuse as an upbringing, because I spoke to this before, that abuse and addictions are hereditary, behaviorally speaking. So, thank you. But in my case, I'm grateful in my family, we had a healthy family, at least that's the model. My parents were together until my mother passed away in 2012, 59 years. Okay, good. So, Katya, you're the exception that changes it, which is good, because that's unusual. That's okay. So, and Jeanette, okay, well, Carolina can speak to this, because she's a neuroscience whiz. She's like doctor and PhD and everything else. She's a smart woman, so she can answer that, yeah. My parents were together. My mother passed away 3 years ago in 2012. So I have in my brain, in my upbringing, long-term relationship happens, because that's the one I was brought up with, versus divorce at 5, 10 years. But, in my family dynamic, because being raised in England and a reserved cultural space, my parents, the way I look back on it, never argued in front of the kids, my brother and I. They were always, well, I'll say polite, but they barely raised their voices. There was no like smacking, hitting, and that sort of stuff. Thank you, Carolina. And so this is the programming as it dropped into me. So this may sound silly, and I'll give you one of the other extremes in a moment, a story I read about a few years ago. First of all, my own upbringing was that if you're in love, you don't argue. That's the programming I got raised with. So my early dating life was absolutely governed by that. In my teens and 20s, when I was going out on dates, getting into a relationship that would last sometimes a few months, sometimes a few weeks, because at some point in my relationship with my woman I was with, there would be an argument, a difference of opinion, a discord. And because I didn't get raised with this, I had no tools to understand, overcome, or change it. So when there was an argument, because it happened every single time at some point, right, never work things out, I would walk away. Because my logic in here, because I was programmed with that, is that love and arguments don't go together. Because in my life, I never saw that. So I ended up leaving the relationship early. And didn't know about make-up sex, oh dear. Didn't know about making peace, about seeing both sides of the conversation at that age. And that's what threw me into the spiritual path and the study I've been on for 30 years. But the thing is, even that can be a governing rule. Now, let me give you one extreme example of the other side of the conversation, which hopefully never happened to you, but this is what I can talk about as how we associate love with something necessarily not as healthy as it could be. There was an article in the newspaper going back at least 15 years ago, from the Deep South, and it's happened since in other places too, but this is the one I remember vividly. There was a domestic violence call to the police at a house in suburbia somewhere in the Deep South in America. Police showed up, pulled up in front of the house, went inside the house. They heard a lot of banging and shouting and stuff from inside the house. Went inside. A few moments later, come out dragging the husband between them, the two cops. The two officers are bringing the big burly husband out. He's got a wife-beater t-shirt on, cigarette under the cuff, and dragging him out to the police car. 30 seconds later, as they're walking down the driveway to the car, the wife comes to the door, black eye, bleeding, bruised, with a kitchen knife in her hand. She pauses at the doorway for a minute, and she looks bereft. She's so stressed, so upset, and understandably, she's been beaten up, she's been hurt. She comes running down the driveway after the police with her husband, with a kitchen knife, runs up behind them and takes a kitchen knife and stabs one of the police officers in the shoulder. Yeah, police officer. When she was interviewed by the police after she was patched up by the ambulance, they asked her what happened. And when she calmed down and when she could articulate, what she said was she felt the police were removing her only source of love. She had been raised in a very abusive environment for several generations. I mean, it went back through generations. And her husband, as much as he abused her, that's how she understood loving to be expressed, because she was raised with that. Now, this is not usually conscious. Again, this is 94% of our subconscious mind running stuff automatically below the surface. It's never voiced, it's never expressed, but it's running anyway. So the programming she had was that unless she was being abused, she didn't know she was being loved. Now, somebody else who writes about this sort of work, Gary Chapman, who wrote a book called, actually written a bunch of books, exactly, that's the programming that some people have, which is incredibly upsetting, but it's the way it works. There's a book called The 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman, which is another good book out in the world, about the 5 different ways of expressing love. Well, I like to say there's more than 5. He talks about terms of people not communicating in the area of love, because one person needs to be told by words of love, affirmational love. Someone's going to tell them, I love you, and hear it to be loved. The other one has to be shown acts of love. So hearing it doesn't make sense to them, but they've got to be shown that they're loved by acts of love, acts of service. So there are people in healthy relationships that don't see each other's loving because they don't meet each other until you take the time to learn. So if you're single, you can do this now. I recommend this book personally. I mean, it's not my book. Again, this is my book, 50 Ways to Love Your Lover. Little plug. But the thing about it, see, Casey, in your case, actions speak louder than words, perhaps, but maybe your partner in the future loves to be told that you love them. So for them, the words speak louder than the actions do to know they're loved. For some people, it's being touched, whether it's a caress, a hug, a kiss. That's their way of knowing they're being loved. For somebody else, it's acts of service. So there's 5, and he talked about 5 love languages, and I'm speaking to the fact that in our subconscious mind, there's thousands, and most of them are dysfunctional because we weren't raised with these things. So I'm not going way off tangent in terms of what I was talking about today, which is fine. This is the range of work I talk about in my coaching. It's vital, if you want a healthy relationship, to really look at your own history. First of all, to see if there's anything you need to clean up with your past history, because the other part is, and this is again from a psychological point of view, that if we're carrying resentments and hurts from past relationships, we'll drag him into a present relationship. Now, if you're with a conscious partner, it's quite possible they can help you heal it. But while you're single, why not do it then? There's a quote I remember from who actually said it a long time ago, is that resentment, especially if you have resentment over your past relationships, like a past partner who didn't take care of you or dumped you or ran away or cheated, whatever that was, if you resent them for that, then what you're doing, metaphorically speaking, or physiologically speaking, is it's like taking poison, expecting the other person to die. That's the definition of resentment, by the way. Resentment is taking poison, expecting, right, okay, Casey, right there. It's hard to trust someone fully again because somebody broke your trust before, I would suspect. If that's the case, before you get into a relationship, I would advise you looking into what that is and heal it. And that's kind of the work I do with my clients. I'm not saying you should work with me, but it's something part of the process. But again, speaking to the resentment piece for a moment, I knew for a while, I judged my past relationship, why she dumped me. Yes, I got dumped, but I created it. I totally saw my part in that role. And once I started getting my own responsibility, I had forgiveness, I had peace, and I didn't repeat that again. Because the other part is, if you carry that grudge against somebody else who did something to you, it's quite likely, because that's what's present in your awareness and in your subconscious, you're going to repeat it again and again until you heal it. I think it's Byron Katie talks about this, about repeated patterns, because until we heal them, we keep repeating them. I know Bradshaw talks about this too. A lot of different people I've studied with. So relationships can be really easy as long as you take responsibility for yourself, you love yourself, and you do the work to heal your past. You don't drag it with you. Because some of us, there was one quote I saw recently on Facebook, someone said, when you go into a new relationship, you drag your past baggage into the relationship. And if you're lucky, you meet someone who's got matching luggage, which is like, sounds cute, but it's so not cool. Because the thing is, the less baggage you drag into a relationship and your partner drags into a relationship, the more you can be together, because that baggage is a wall between you. Am I familiar with the Shaza and Insu Kim Berg? No, I'm not actually. Not with them. I've studied a lot of people, and there's a lot of people out there I haven't studied with, so just to be honest. Again, in my book, actually in the back of my book, I have 7 different recommendations for work, and actually Gary Chapman's book's not in there. I need to update my book to put it in there, because it's not in there right now. But if you want to find my book again, this is my book, 50 Ways to Love Your Lover. This is the website, barryselby.com/book is where you find my book. Again, it's available in ebook, in physical book, but it takes a while to order, especially if you're overseas. It could take a long time, by the way. Post Monster, okay, interesting. And also it's available on Kindle on Amazon if you want that one, but I personally prefer the ebook because the layout's better. Because I used to be one of my previous careers was a graphic designer. Carolina is my accountability partner and a buddy, and so I'm grateful she's absolutely tapping away, which I appreciate. Sorry, just speaking to book stuff. There you go. It's on Amazon. Yes. All right. So barryselby.com/book. You can read about it there. Or if you go to 50ways-to-love-your-lover.com, same thing. There you go. You can do a screenshot of that. That's the ebook form if you want to get the PDF, because then it's downloadable right away. The physical book takes time, but the ebook is in your inbox in 5 minutes. And it's cheaper too. It's half the price of the physical book. But the thing about it is it's a PDF, which means the layout matches the physical book, which is better. Oh, lower? Sorry. Right there. How's that? That better for you? Lucid? It's easy. It's barryselby.com/book. It's not hard to remember. So, all right. Also, I want to mention to the ladies. Glad you can find it. This for the ladies. I'm doing an end of year. It's not special because this is basically the end of the year where I'm keeping the prices the same until January 1st. But on January 1st, all my prices are going up for my coaching and my programs, because my mentors have been on me to do this. And I finally said, okay, that's a mark in the calendar. January 1st, 2016, prices go up. So today and tomorrow is the last day to get my current pricing for my stuff. You don't really think it's not 100 years old. There's some good stuff out there that's less than 100 years old. Quite a few good books, in fact. I'm not going to speak to mine only. So For the ladies who are looking, I recommend a couple of things. First of all, if you got value from the scope, do something about it. If you do the work yourself, you find a coach, great. If you work with me, I'm biased, please do. I appreciate that. I have an online program I got in 2 formats that I want to let the ladies know about. I'm sure the guys, I haven't written this one for men yet, it's for the ladies. If you want, oh, sorry, you can ask a question anytime you want. Sorry, I didn't realize you were holding back on questions. Please feel free to ask. Let me just promote this while you put your question in. I have a thing called the Dating Advantage, which I need to rename because it's not really what it is. It's a vision program to attract what you want. And if ladies, if you have been thinking about New Year's resolutions for love and relationships, I did a whole rant about this. When was that? It's on Facebook actually, about the difference between resolutions and intentions, because resolutions are weak. I'll put it that way. If you're interested in love and relationships and you want to get clear on your vision, your intention, I have an 8-module program, 8 key steps that will get you where you want to go, called the Dating Advantage. It comes in 2 forms. This version, again, barryselby.com/datingadvantage, is my 8-week program with coaching, or you can get the whole thing as a home study workbook, which is YDA workbook. So either one of those, and it's on my website. If you go to barryselby.com, you click on Dating Advantage with coaching and Dating Advantage home study. Both of those give you the same place. Same basic content, but one's got coaching and is scheduled over 8 weeks. One is a straight download. You can get either one of those. And I am still holding out the space for a couple of new coaching clients ideally by tomorrow, because when my coaching goes up. If you want to sign up for 3 months to transform your life, it will be my service, my honor, and my joy to help you get where you want to go. My coaching is for men and women because that's not pre-written, and it's customized depending where you want to go. And that's where you want to share. Hopefully this scope gave you some material, because I don't know if I covered everything because I got to go all over the map on this one. But getting back to the topic, just to remember what the title was. Oh yeah, stop settling, listen to your heart. That's what it was. Let me speak to that one more time. As I said at the beginning, and I'll say it maybe differently this time so you get this point. And this is for men too, to be honest. I mean, the reason why it's called women is because Monday is Man Up Monday in my schedule, and Wednesday is Woman Up Wednesday. So I speak to the women today, but men you can listen up to, because this one speaks to you as well. We don't fully always own our value, so we settle for less than we deserve. Settle for less than we really want, and then we bang our heads against the wall going, why didn't I choose better? Don't. First of all, as I mentioned earlier about the whole codependent, interdependent format, learn to love yourself independent relationship. One thing I've told my clients many times, and I've shared on Periscope as well, if you want to start finding someone to love you more, start by loving yourself first, which I mean is take time every day to look in the mirror and say, I love you. Do that 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes in the evening, and you'll find your life transforms. If you love it, say you love yourself into the mirror, into your own eyes, till you feel it in the morning, in the evening, will change your life. Now, taking the juice up higher, if you're someone who has body issues, again, man or woman, do that in a full-length mirror without any clothes on, privately, to say that to those parts of your body you have issue with. Because some of us say, I love you and feel it, but they don't feel it, they don't embody it. So these are 2 parts of my homework I give my clients, so you get it for free. Self-love is a powerful transformational agent. And if you want a healthy relationship, it starts with you, because you're the one person who you spend your whole life with from start to finish. Kind of obvious, I know. So if you want a healthy relationship out there, start making it healthy in here. And that's where the work is. So again, if you want to coach with me, I love supporting my clients. I have a passion, a heart full of love to support my clients and get what they want. And that's why I commit to 3 months, because I can work fast, but I'd rather the effects last a long time. So I know there's some questions in there. I didn't see them come up yet. So if you have any questions, please put them in, because I think I've exhausted my material for now. I did actually cover more than I planned, which is fine. Oh, I've got 10 minutes. I need to get off the car. I'm on Periscope again in 10 minutes. Sorry, I forgot. Oh, you're only attracted to younger women, yet I know women age are ideal, yet have zero attraction. That's your question. Or is that your question? It's your statement. Sorry, you have a question. Lucid wisdom. And I'm sorry, I'm just realizing I've got to get back on. This was going to be a 10-minute scope. No, yes. Truth is, and this is one of my passionate things about this, and this is actually the post I put on Facebook this morning about that, being attracted to an older woman. We get attracted to an ideal, a lost youth experience, which is not true. Sorry, whilst you're doing that, I'm doing this. Where did I put my... Oh, crap. Sorry, I'm trying to get my... I need to put up something because I forgot to do something else. All right. Sorry, I'm going to go and get ready for my scope. If you attract someone younger, some part of you hasn't grown up yet, to be honest. It's a thing that I got pulled into for a long time. But I started realizing, especially the last 10 years, that the looks are deceptive. Again, as I mentioned earlier in the scope, it's the content, it's who's inside, not what's outside, and that's the trap. So I'm passionate about you finding someone that matches who you are, okay? That is really the essence of what I'm going to say. Because we fall in that trap, and I understand it. So, yeah. Okay. I need to sign off. There you are. There's wood for the trees. Let's see, Michaela. I'm going to sign off because I've got to get ready for the scope in 7 minutes. I'll be back on. Our question is, trying to find a longer-term relationship is hard when younger. Yes, because a lot of times we haven't matured. And that's a whole other conversation. I'll do a scope tomorrow, Thursday. I might be, sorry, it's New Year's Eve. We'll see. But that's what I'll talk about. So, okay, I've got to sign off now. Thank you for following me. Make sure you're following me on Periscope. I do scope every day in love and relationships. I'll be on the Share-a-thon in 10 minutes. See you, Michaela. I'm going to finish updating. Yes, I'll be right there. I'll see you later because I've got to sign off now. I've got to go. But I'll be back on again in 5 minutes. Make sure you follow me, and I'll be talking about generosity in the next scope.